Good morning, guys. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James, and this is your latest Rangers update. Right, look, we're going to talk Nico Raskin. We're going to talk Russell Martin. Look, I've got to say, I'm done with Russell. I'm absolutely 100% done with Russell Martin after his latest comments on Nicolas Raskin. We are managed by an absolute football illiterate. We are managed by someone who has zero clue about what makes a good footballer. We are managed by one of the worst managers in this club's history. A man so arrogant and narcissistic as to put himself and his own pride before what is best for our club. And I think if you surveyed and asked the supporters who they back, Raskin or Martin, I think the vast majority would say we are all for Raskin. Get this absolute clown out of our football club in Russell Martin. As I've always said, never trust a vegan. Look, the latest comments obviously come on the back of the fact that Raskin obviously had those talks with Thelwell and with Russell Martin and was put back into the squad, and he is back training with the group. However, Russell Martin has come out and said that he is not part of the squad for this game against Hearts. Now, I genuinely cannot see a reason why Raskin is not part of this group. Raskin, to me, is the best midfielder at the club. He is the best player at the club by an absolute country mile. There is little competition for him. He is, if you're telling me that Connor Barron and Joe Rothwell are better players than Nicolas Raskin, you severely need to give your head a wobble. It's clear that obviously the manager thinks that Joe Rothwell is a better player than Nicolas Raskin because he picks him over Raskin. Genuinely, he is just... I honestly just cannot believe that he's leaving him out yet again. Now, look, yes, if we were coming off the back of a set of fantastic results, had we beaten Celtic in that Old Firm game, had we won the Club Bruges game, were we in a position where we were winning games, then I could quite categorically say, yes, the manager is right. He is right to say that Raskin doesn't need to start, doesn't need to be part of the group, that, it is surplus to requirements at this stage because, there's the old adage, you never change a winning team. And I get that. I understand that is the case, that you do not change a winning team. You do not take out players who are being successful. But at this point in time, nothing about this team is successful. There is little to no success there. The football we're watching is turgid, boring, and just awful. We don't create enough chances. We are poor defensively. We are poor across the pitch. And someone like Nicolas Raskin, who is a player who can do it on the international stage for Belgium and impress, against top-class international talents. Okay, yes, not Kazakhstan, but, in other games he has done. Is being left out in favour of players who are quite categorically not as good as him. Now, some people may say, well, look, he's only just come back in. You can't put him straight back in. Well, tell me why then does that, if the argument is the argument, then you can't play Derek Cornelius, the new centre-back, on Saturday because he's only just come in. You can't play Yusuf Chimiti because he's only just come back in. So, for me, the argument is spurious. This comment, and obviously I wait to see what Russell Martin's got to say at his press conference today, but the fact that he is continually leaving Raskin out, is just an absolute disgrace. It is an absolute... It just beggars belief. It genuinely does. That the manager can realistically be that stupid, that he can, look at this situation, look at Nicolas Raskin and say, yeah, he ain't going to get back in. He's not good enough to get back in. Look, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. Why you would do this. Raskin has not come out and criticised the club. He's not come out and criticised the manager publicly. He has not said that he wants to leave the club. He's not said that he wants to transfer. He's not said that he wants to move on from the club. He's done everything the right way, yet he's still continually left out of this squad. As I've said, it doesn't make any sense. Now, there was news today also that apparently Rangers agreed a loan deal with an option to buy for Raskin with Wolves on deadline day. Raskin turned down that deal and refused to travel to the Midlands to discuss personal terms with Wolves. You can't... look, honestly, you can't... Nothing against Wolves, but you cannot say that decision by Raskin is the wrong one. Wolves are a team that are rock bottom of the Premier League. They've lost 3 out of 3, and I think are a team that may well get relegated this season because they are an exceptionally poor side. Why would you want to go and play for a team like that? Why would you want to move down in terms of club level? So, I again, is there some feeling against Raskin because he turned down this deal? The other way you look at this as well is that if this situation continues long term, you are severely depreciating the value of an asset at your football club. Nicholas Raskin is a player who should be bringing a substantial amount of money into the club in terms of transfer fee. He's a top level talent. You should be looking at somewhere between 15 to 20 million for this player, if not in excess of 20 million, had he had another good season this season. Realistically, you should be looking at that. But unfortunately, we are not. We're not looking at that situation now. We are looking at a situation where probably if he does not figure as predominantly during this season, or Russell Martin continues to force him out, which he appears to be doing, then you are probably looking at getting less than 10 million for a player that, would have been worth, like I said, 15 to 20 to 25 possibly after a good season and a good World Cup. People can laugh at that, but Matt O'Reilly, look at how much he moved down to Brighton for from Celtic. Jota, the winger, obviously not the one that died sadly. Jota, the Celtic winger who moved to Saudi for a vast sum of money. We've got to be acting the same as them in terms of getting the best price for our assets, and certainly treating Raskin the way that this manager is treating him is not valuing our assets. He's not forcing up the price of our assets. I've got to say that Russell Martin is a very poor man manager. He is a very poor man manager. And to be a top football coach, to be a top head coach or a top manager, you've got to be a good people person. You've got to be a good person, a player manager in terms of the way you manage the different personalities within your squad. Russell Martin's one size fits all approach does not work. It categorically does not work. And, people can say back the manager, support the manager, give him time. But the one thing I would say to you if you're saying that is go back across his football CV. CVs don't lie, guys. If you apply for a CEO job of a major company and your only experience is stacking shelves in Aldi, working on the grill in McDonald's and collecting the trolleys in Asda, you're not going to get a job being a CEO of a major world company. Russell Martin's CV tells you that he is not up to this job. You look at his past history, his past statistics, his goals for, his goals against, his win ratios. His win ratio is 39% for his career. It is less than Barry Ferguson's. A manager, and I'm not saying that I was pro Barry as manager, but a manager who we were told was not successful enough to be Rangers manager. Yet Russell Martin, some people say, is successful enough to be Rangers manager. Again, something I don't fully understand. Maybe Russell Martin, maybe a club meal, maybe Nico Raskin refused to eat his Brussels sprouts and that's why he's been dropped. I don't know. But realistically, this is an idiot move by Martin. Why would you not put your best players into a squad? I don't get it. I simply don't get it. And for me, Martin has got to go. Free Nico, sack Martin. That's the way I look at it. If you like the content, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the next one.